We have a very special guest, Vanessa Deleon. What's up, Vanessa? How are you? Thank you for joining us today.
Wait, are we looking at the camera?
You look wherever.
Am I playing tennis today? What's happening?
However, we usually look at each
I
other.
like this.
It's easier.
This
to
is
let the camera do.
Okay.
what
We're
the
just
camera
having
wants to do.
we're just having a conversation. The camera gonna do what it do. But
Jamie just wants to make sure the angle hits him the right way.
well, I mean, the light's got to hit the diamonds just nice, you know.
They're
That was good.
Yeah, my guy. No, you've
He
been
was on
on
it last week. He was on.
You've been
it.
on the sound effects heavy lately. So basically, Phil's wife was on a few weeks ago, and we realized how important it was to have a female's touch, in the building.
it.
So, welcome.
Thank you.
Know Vanessa for a little while. We almost worked together on a project in East Rutherford. It didn't come to fruition, but I saw what you could do, and then I started following you, and I'm a fan. So I just see you blowing up, and I had to reach out and say, hey, can we get you on the pod? So, basically the way we do it is, Phil, you want to break it down, dude?
Yeah, listen, it's cool because Jamie knows you a little bit. I know we talked a little bit. I don't know, and they definitely don't know who you are. So tell us a little bit, like where you grew up, where you're from. Give us a little segue into like how you got into what you're doing right now and what it is.
Oh my God, I think
The rags to riches. Let's hear it.
2 minutes.
we need like an hour. Like
Well,
at
that's what we
least-
got.
Yeah, you gotta-
But we want to talk shop and all this fun stuff.
No.
Like we need like at least an hour for that. So
You
I'm
got
like,
as
I'm
much
gonna do
time as
that.
you want, right, Marvin? Yeah, that's right. Phil's going to pay for the second episode today.
I think we should just like go back and forth, but I am
Absolutely,
like a
yeah.
true rags to riches story.
Yeah.
I started from nothing. My grandparents came here from Cuba. We talked about that a little bit. Honestly, it was a struggle, right? My parents came here in the revolution. When my grandparents came, they had nothing. And I literally started from nothing. My parents ended up having me. I lived in a trailer.
Where?
In Edgewater.
In Edgewater.
Like a real trailer.
They had
Edgewater
trailers in Edgewater?
I remember Edgewater when it wasn't Edgewater.
You had the single trailer?
We had a trailer.
Wow, that's amazing.
Legit. And Edgewater wasn't what it was today. I know you
It was
know
all
Edgewater
like
really
working
well.
class industrial. Yeah.
It wasn't even that. It was like factories.
Mm-hmm.
It was River Road didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was Old River Road. And a hospital. That was it.
Yeah.
And a trailer. And we lived in the only
So
trailer.
basically, the house you live in now, you're looking at where the trailer was when you
Yeah,
were a
like
kid
in-
almost?
like in an angle.
So
Like
I've been
an
at your
angle.
house because I've been at your
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
So she has a
It's a
side by side, and the office is on one side and the house is on the other. Beautiful house, by
Thank
the way.
you, thank
So
you.
you can tell you're walking into a designer's home. You walk in, you're like, wow.
But you didn't see the house, right?
I don't think I saw the house.
No. Yeah, the house is like totally different from the office.
That's when we actually signed a deal. Then
I was
get
gonna
to
shoot
see
that.
the
I
house.
signed the contract first episode.
No.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You get invited to shit and everything.
It was just like we were just talking design.
We were.
But yeah, when we lived in the trailer, my parents, they were young, they were teenagers. They literally had nothing. We didn't have anything. My grandparents had to start over because they left with just a couple $100. So they had a small furniture store on Bergen Line Avenue. Then from one furniture store, it came 2 furniture stores. My dad was working there simultaneously while he was trying to create this business, which was like the dog business. He's a dog trainer and breeder now.
Cool.
Wow.
So my father was simultaneously doing the dog thing while he was also trying to work with his father and work in the furniture business. And
Did they build furniture? Was it
so not then.
okay.
We basically sold appliances, furniture, lamps. It
Is
was
the
like,
store still there?
No,
Okay.
Did they do upholstery too?
no, but we did that later.
Got it. All right. I know a lot of
So-
Cubans did upholstery.
Yeah.
And on Bergen Line, I mean, that's like
Yeah, and we had
upholsterer's row
And
over
we
there.
had a few furniture stores that would have like everything. It was like everything for the home.
Yeah.
And my father was really just trying to be like a dog. He was like just imagine what Caesar is today,
Yeah.
but like better, like dog trainer and breeder for the stars. Like my dad really was. He was like. His
So
passion
you had a
was
lot of
dogs.
pets growing up, or
So we had a side-by-side trailer.
okay?
They expanded. That's good.
Don't they call that a double wide? I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure it's
correct.
called a
I was
double
just
wide,
gonna
right?
say,
All
a
right.
double
It
wide.
sounds better.
Like a double wide because it's not a double
The
wide.
only reason I know that is because my brother lived in New Mexico. He went to graduate school. He had a
brother-in-law
double
lives in
wide
New Mexico,
trailer.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
In New
totally,
Mexico,
totally.
it's really standard. You know,
Yeah.
you either cook meth,
Yeah.
or you live in a double wide trailer,
Honestly,
or both.
It was like it, but it literally had a little ramp.
Yeah.
Because you would be outside, so if it's raining, you just gotta like run through
Oh
it.
my god.
So it wasn't really a double wide because
Do you like pay taxes and shit on the trailer, or you just park it and hope for the best? You know what I mean? Like when you move, right?
Like, what's the property tax in Edgewater?
Yeah, right. The tax man comes and you're like, all right, bro,
The
we're going
kids
2
in the
blocks
blocks.
this way. That's it. We're gonna hide behind this building now. They won't find us.
To be honest, I don't even know how that even works in
Yeah,
real
that's
life.
crazy.
Like, what are the,
Usually there's a lot, and that lot is where there's trailer parks, and then you just pay the rent in.
But we didn't have a park.
Like an HOA,
Yeah. HOA before trailer.
a TOA,
But she probably just had one
Trailer
park.
Association.
That was
yeah,
it.
I
of
don't
America.
think it was an HOA because or whatever. Because
Right.
there wasn't a park. We literally were just like on.
You
the
guys just
waterfront.
pulled up and said, "We live here now.
Yeah,
like
but
this is
but
it."
you know, it's so
You were
funny.
like the Cuban
It
clampets.
didn't have wheels.
Yeah.
It was like on stilts, like on.
Yeah,
on
they
these,
put either
like,
cinder blocks or they
cinder
put
blocks.
like,
Yeah, it was cinder blocks. I was able to like go under it.
Put it
It
on
was
there
like
when you're a kid.
so crazy. Anyway, so the other trailer was a dog trailer,
Got it.
and then our trailer. So anyway,
What kind of dogs? I mean, like
Rottweilers.
Okay.
Strictly
Wow, cool.
Rottweilers. Yeah. So I grew up with so many
And
Rottweilers.
if it was the 80s, Rottweilers in the 80s were like that, and Doberman Pinscher
Yeah.
were the dogs.
And
to
Doberman
have.
Pinschers.
Yeah.
So my dad has a
Yeah.
tattoo of a Doberman Pinscher on his arm.
Every movie in the 80s is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Doberman Pinschers.
I mean, so you were basically riding Rottweilers like they were
Legit.
horses when you were a
Actually,
kid. Like
I would.
I could
would do
see that.
yeah. I would do that. So I'm not scared of dogs, but
Good.
Anyway, so we lived there, and my dad was there were teenagers. My mom and my dad were teenagers, so they were literally just trying to make it.
Right.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I grew up. I loved fashion, and I absolutely wanted to be a fashion stylist.
Where'd you go to school? Did you
FIT.
stay? Did you
FIT.
stay in Edgewater though, like high school and
No,
stuff?
then we moved. We moved to Inglewood, small house in Inglewood, and
Okay.
then we lived there for a while. And then my parents divorced, got back together. I went to 11 different schools altogether.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I had to make friends all the time, and that's why I'm very social,
Got
and
it.
that's
You know how
why
to
I
do it. You
kind of
developed that
like be a
skill.
chameleon. Yeah.
Got it.
So
So it actually worked out.
it did. You know, like I tell my sister all the time, like, you know, throughout our lives, we've always had like trials and tribulation, but at the end of the day, how we grew up is the reason we became
Right.
what we became today, who we are, is
Right.
like a testament to what our parents kind of went through and did for us. And we didn't see it as maybe a good thing.
No, growing
But,
up,
like,
you're
growing
like, this
up,
sucks.
yeah.
But then,
Or it was just kind of normal though, right?
But
You
for
didn't
us,
even
it was
think
normal.
about it like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. For us,
This
it
is
was
kind of a
normal. But
running
we-
theme
yeah.
in all our shows and every
Right.
episode where it's like, you know,
Your
you kind
perception
of,
is of it.
Yeah.
you kind of got thrown around a little bit as a kid, but you figured it out.
Right.
And you made the best of it, you
Right.
know, because you went in with a positive attitude. There was no other way as a kid. I don't remember being like, oh, this sucks.
Right, because you don't have nothing to compare it to.
Exactly. We were just like, yo,
You
we don't
don't have
have
the
nothing. You
luxury.
can't lose
But then
anything.
again, there wasn't social media. Or
That's
you couldn't
true.
compare like that,
You
yeah.
couldn't-
That's
You see
true.
like the
Yeah.
Jeffersons on TV or something.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
about it.
bro.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yes. I
I mean, we would ride our bikes everywhere. It didn't matter. Like, you know.
Or the Cosby Show. Like, I used to wonder,
Yeah.
like, why don't we have, like, a cool house with stairs
Well,
like
the biggest
that
thing
and
was
stuff?
Home
He was a
Alone.
doctor, right?
Yeah.
What was Home Alone's dad's name?
Oh, yeah.
McAllister.
McCall. But you're like, how do you get that fucking
Yeah.
house?
Yeah.
Like
you know
to
what's
this
so
day,
funny? He
to
was
this
in-
day,
so he was in
nobody
his
knows
30s.
how to get and first class tickets to fucking
Yeah, yeah.
Paris.
For
So,
14
For 14
people, bro.
people.
Wow,
That's
hold on.
that's on. Wait, that's
No,
that's
but
coming
the
up a
kids-
lot on IG lately,
the
right?
kids
I
were
do
in the
5
back.
and I'm like blowing the fuck away. 14.
No, the kids were in the back.
Oh, that's right. They were in
Because
economy.
they were in economy.
Yo,
and they felt
that's
bad.
right.
That's a good rule, by the way.
I know.
I'm down with that rule
I
on
know, but
international
I
travel. My
think-
kids are older, and we went to Italy, and my parents were with us, and I was like, babe, you know, we're sitting in the first 5 rows, and the kids sit where they sit. Like, we could just tell them, like, you know,
I got 3-year-old. It's not
I
gonna
don't know.
happen.
Man.
that's different.
The worst is paying for the 3-year-old. I'm
Right.
At
But-
two, you don't
At
have
2.
to.
Well, up until 2.
Up to 2.
Yeah,
And
I
was
rocked that.
Shit,
Soon as she
like
hit
that
2,
cutoff,
I was like,
man.
fuck, yeah.
I'm like, can we lie about the age? No, because you need the password.
Yeah, you
It's
need
like,
the, yep, exactly.
It's not like going to like Great Adventure. No, he's 3. Yeah.
But my
for
kids are
sure.
older, though, like, you know, 15, like, hit get in the
Yeah,
back till
no,
you get
I
a
know.
job.
I wanna do that
When's the
more.
first time you flew first class? Like, how old? were
Me,
you?
not that long, a few years ago. Maybe.
Yeah, right? Like, I was 28, I think. And
Yeah, I
it was
was
like a
in my
big
20s.
deal for me.
I was in my 20s.
We
also.
went to Aruba for our 8-year wedding, something, forget. It was a wedding anniversary. And we flew first class for the first time, and it was like it was a really big deal. So
You're like,
I
you
can't
made it.
just right. I don't want my kids to just be like matter of fact, you know. Last night we went to the city. We take Christmas card pictures, and my wife has started this beautiful tradition where we get picked up in a limo, and my kids love it. They're they're
That's
on
cool.
the phone like waving at people
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Times
yeah.
Square. You know what I mean? Like they think they're big shots. And my son's like, "So Dad, are we like rich?" or
Oh my
like
God.
rich, and I'm like, Bran, there's no definition for that these days. Like,
Yeah.
work your ass off, do what you love, and you'll have the things that you need around you.
Yeah.
But we have each other. Like, that's, you know,
You
those
have
are
to
those
instill-
moments,
you
right?
have to instill that in them.
It's
for sure,
hard
yeah,
because,
it's hard.
like, we like nice stuff too, and we didn't have that. So, like, there's such a balance which doesn't exist, right? Like,
No, it isn't.
how are you going to tell yourself no when you work your whole life and,
I know.
you know, and you want nice shit?
So,
Like,
I have the thing where like I got a 3-year-old and I got a 12-year-old, a 3-year-old girl and 12-year-old boy, and they're accustomed to the lifestyle. You know what I mean? Which is fine. And it's like you can stay accustomed to it. You just got to figure out how to pay for it. You know what I mean? So like it does help my son develop, and where we live and the people around him and his developmental skills in terms of like what he has to do to get it. So it's not the traditional like, hey, I got to get this job or go to college. He's already like brainstorming in terms of whether it's a car where he knows what he has to do to figure it out. He's 12. He's not there yet, but you can see it kind of like happening. You know what I mean? Whether it's entrepreneur.
This is what I'm scared about with telling. He's 5 years old.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's a shit
Yeah.
already, and he's
Right.
5.
Yeah.
And all the things that we have, he thinks that's normal.
Yeah.
Like we have
But it is.
that, but it's not.
Well, I mean.
But it's not.
to
And
him it's-
I know to him it's normal, but that's not normal. That's not
Right.
normal. I mean, it's all subjective, right? Because there's
It is.
Well, that's
other
what
people.
It
I
is.
mean by that, right?
But
It's definitely
but I want him
subjective.
to know that's not the norm.
Yeah.
Right? So there's an exception, and you're lucky, but you're gonna work to get
Correct.
to where mom and dad got.
well, you
know?
have to drive through the slums when you're on vacation, right? I mean, you got to show them, like,
know.
this is how.
I do. I put him on YouTube actually. I put different countries on YouTube for
To see
him,
how it is.
for him to see, like Cuba, India. Like I always do that for him to understand.
My kids make fun of me because I'm like, guys, there's people without running water. They're like, stop that. I'm like, I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
You know, you take everything in your house for granted,
Mm-hmm.
but like heat, you know, food.
Yeah, but listen, my parents did that when they came, and I'm like born here. My parents are, I guess, the first generation, and so my dad was like, listen, you know, I went to school with no shoes. We had dirt, dirt poor.
Did every
He's like,
parent
we
go
had-
to school with no
Yeah,
shoes?
with no
Like,
shoes,
that's the
hey,
thing.
uphill.
Yeah,
Right?
it snowed a
And-
fucking
and-
lot
and
too,
there was-
right?
and
Like,
there was
yo,
always a hill.
stop.
Every town
Right?
had a hill.
Yo,
and
you
no
live in a
shoes.
hilly ass, snowy ass, but you guys lived in the mountains. How do I
We
not
didn't
know
have
that?
snow, but like,
And like
he did the whole.
it was a hill and shoes, no shoes.
one
It's
pair
like,
of
that's the only
shoes
thing.
for all the brothers.
Yeah, like,
So they would
stop
take
it, bro.
turns, right? They had, you know, shoes for the funeral or whatever.
Yeah.
Yo.
So like every generation's gonna have there and try to like bring their kids back.
That's
to, like,
amazing.
have a little of that. I think like you telling your story, how you come, is the most important thing though. And like when we tell our stories, and eventually when our kids hear it, and even if it's not our kids, like other people hear it, like there's a journey to this. There's a path.
That's right.
Right.
And I like what you said too, like how you changed all the different high schools. We always say like trauma doesn't define you unless you let it.
Right.
You could use it for like an asset or like a defect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
You got to look at it and change it. Like, you know what? I developed social skills. Now I know how to talk to everybody.
Yep.
Now I know how to,
Right.
you know. So
I could fit in anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
And I truly believe that. So, yeah, for me, I didn't even know that. I was like, I had the view of New York City. We had a little beach.
Mm-hmm.
It was a beach.
Right.
I mean, we didn't go in it. That was
No, I know.
gross, but,
It wasn't an ocean. It's a
yeah.
river, but still,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's
The
your
river
little
in the
beach.
80s is not what
yeah,
it is
yeah,
now,
it was like a
you
dumping
know?
ground for
Yeah.
sure back then.
So,
But anyway, fast forward, I went to FIT and I studied fashion, and I put myself through school by working with my dad at the furniture store that now was expanded, and now we were doing upholstery, we were doing fabrication, we were doing commercial spaces, we did MTV, all their
You're doing all
desks
custom work
and
now
all
and
custom
everything.
work
Yeah,
now,
cool.
yeah.
so you always got to see a little bit of it, right? Because in Englewood there was money,
Yeah.
right? Like Fort
Yeah.
Lee or on the water. You saw it. You were looking at the city.
Yeah.
You got a glimpse of it, right?
Well, when I was in college,
Okay.
that's
Then
when
you really
that's when I
started seeing
to
it.
see, yeah.
Right.
Because I was
Like,
in the
there's
city all the
levels to
time,
this.
Yeah. So I acquired an amazing position at a big fashion house and realized shortly after that it was literally like The Devil Wears Prada,
Yeah.
the movie before the movie was a movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like Vogue. It was like Ralph Lauren. You know, it was like not even anything that was like
I mean,
Vogue.
it's not a small name, right?
It isn't, but I was in a small division at Ralph Lauren. And
Okay.
It was really toxic. And the women were, they were friends to their face, and then when they would
All clicky.
go apart,
Yeah.
they would talk about each other. I'm like, oh my God, this is like so toxic. Because I'm about propelling women. I'm about like uplifting, and it was just super toxic. And I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with this. And that really discouraged me. So I went back to the furniture store, and I'm like, I got to figure out what I'm going to do.
How old were you at this point? Early 20s?
Or 19.
Okay.
Yeah,
Still really
yeah.
young. Wow.
20. Yeah.
You lived in the city or you
Yeah,
lived
because
at home?
I actually, no, I ended up moving out.
Okay.
I moved out really early. And I got my first condo really early. I started life really early.
Okay. Because your parents were young too, though, so you
Yeah.
had that mentality the whole time.
Yep. So when I went back to work for my dad's furniture store, right there, it was like, okay, sink or swim. People would ask me to come to their house. I'm going to go to their house because they wanted me to pick their window treatments or their paint colors. And I wasn't doing that when I was selling furniture, but I was like, let me try this. So I would go to their house and they're like, okay, now I want to like rip the walls out and move up and go out. And I'm like, I didn't even know what a load-bearing wall was.
Right.
So I was like, I got to go back to school to learn the basics, right? So I went back to school and I felt behind the 8 ball when I was in school because all my friends graduated and everybody had a job. And I was like, all right, I gotta now like figure this out and I got to do something. So I was like, all right, I'm going to develop my own LLC when I was in college and I'm going to start a design business. So simultaneously, I was doing design, going to school, and I'm like, all right, how am I going to get out there fast? And I was like, all right, I was obsessed with The Apprentice for a season, obsessed. And I'm like, I'm going to become one of The Apprentice. I submitted a video. I made it out of 500,000 contestants, flew out to LA, and I was there for 7 days.
Oh, wow.
7 days of being in a room, like you're literally, you have a time you get to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're testing all day, background checks, physical examinations. I swear to God, I thought it was
my God.
yeah, everything.
Yeah.
I literally thought like a gynecologist was gonna come and like spread your legs. Like it was
That's
so
crazy.
intense. It was so intense. NBC
Fucking
had huge budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge budget. So finally, like when I was there, they're like, "Hey, listen, would you be interested in if we switch gears here and do a Martha Stewart apprentice?" And I'm like, Martha Stewart, she's in jail. Like how? And then I'm like, ding, ding. I'm like, she's getting out early.
Yeah.
Like I just knew because it was like
That was
September.
your neighbor, right? Nutley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
4
Nutley.
houses away from
Yeah.
me, she grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah. 170 Satterwaith. Yep.
Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute. September, she's supposed to be in jail for another year. And
Doing the math.
I started doing the math. I'm like, she's getting out early. Oh my God, this is crazy. I know the skinny, you know?
Yeah.
So sure enough, it was for The Apprentice, Martha Stewart. And I was like, yes, absolutely. Because I always kind
Imagine
of,
getting a show while you're in jail. Like,
Yeah,
you just
amazing.
got it like that.
amazing.
But they had to prove a point, I guess, right? Like,
Yeah, they had-
there's been
they had
insider
to-
trading since the stock market started, and
Some of
They
them.
the stock
had-
exchange started in 1732. There's been, you think guys weren't having conversations in
Yeah.
the back room? Give me a fucking break.
For sure.
You know, come on. Sorry,
They
I
had to make
go
an
off on a
example.
little fucking conspiracy tangent. That's, you know.
We can be here all day long.
Yeah, we sure
I
could.
could do a
Another
whole
episode.
conspiracy. Yeah.
We sure can.
So Martha's, yeah, they had to make an example of her for sure.
Right.
But anyway, she got the deal.
Right.
She was out early, whatever. So I was like, yes, Martha Stewart Apprentice. I think that's great alignment. I always coin myself to be the next Latina Martha Stewart, and that's always been my
Oh, that's
thing.
so
And
funny.
it's like, oh my God, the lines are, you know, the stars are aligned, and this is serendipitous.
almost
Yeah,
Right.
meant to be,
manifested, yeah.
right? So the last day, 7th day, we're in a room. Bethany Franco's next to me, myself, and like the other contestants that were on the show. And they were like, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so unprofessional. Mark Burnett is like right there, and he's sitting right, and I'm like trying to be like professional, and I'm like, Mr. Burnett, Mr. Burnett, do you mind if I start, because these women can't get it together? And everybody stopped, like all the execs were behind
Yeah.
him, and he's going through his cue cards. He's like, Vanessa Deleon. I said yes, and he's like, go ahead. And then everybody was like, okay. I'm like, I'm Vanessa Deleon, I'm an interior designer. And then everybody else went. And then I get out and I'm mic'd and my PA is like listening to everything. He's like, yo, you killed it. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm like, yes. Went back to my room. And then an hour later I get a knock, and the knock just wasn't the same from the PA. And I'm like, fuck, I didn't get, can I curse?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm like, fuck, I didn't get it. I opened the door and he's like, I can't believe it. He's like, you didn't get the show. And I'm like, how? I'm like,
I know how.
I didn't. It was the beginning of
Yep.
reality TV. I didn't know. I would have played it.
You had to be the dramatic character,
I
right?
would have done it. I would have done it. Everybody on the show, everybody that was on Martha Stewart first season, I was the only one. They were just like one out, and I was the only one. But I was there 7 days.
That's crazy. I would say that, listen, we look at things from a positive perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, no.
And it pushed you and drove you and made you exactly who you are
yeah.
today.
Well, then
they're going to be calling you to be on, like the 10th anniversary. How long ago was that?
Oh my God. So 2005.
Oh shit. That was
the first
long
season
time
of The
ago.
Apprentice. It was the first of reality TV because that's when it kind of like started. So when I got back,
On the networks is when it started, yeah.
I was bummed, like so depressed. I'm like, how did I not make it? This is like, how? I was so close.
I nailed it.
I was so close and I did a good job. That's the part that pissed me off, right? And to know that I was like in that room and Mark Burnett being right there, like ripped jeans and didn't have shoes on. It was like the weirdest thing. And like all these execs were in suits behind him and he's like barefoot. It was like.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's wild. Donald Trump was there, but I didn't interview one-on-one with him. I did it with Mark. But then from there, I was bummed. And Missy Elliott actually came to our store and then I did some work for her, like just a little bit.
Cool.
And then I felt like, oh, that was kind of cool. Like from something bad came something good. Like I'm able to work with her. And we did some stuff for one of her manager places. And then the girl that was working for me, she was like, hey, did you hear about this new show called Design Star? I'm like, no, for HGTV. I'm like, fuck reality TV. I'm never going to do this shit again. And then she's like, submit the tape that you submitted for The Apprentice. And I'm like, all right, I'll submit the tape. So I submitted the tape. They call me immediately and they're like, hey, we love the tape, but we want to see design. Like, it's all business.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay. So I did another tape. And then I sent that tape. And then you have to sign a waiver. And the waiver is they can do anything they want with that video. Mm-hmm. So I was the commercial for first season HGTV Design Star.
Oh, wow.
The entire commercial. And I'm like, these mother effers
That's
didn't call me
crazy.
and tell me that I'm on the show or not. And I thought they used my footage and I'm not on the show.
You thought that was like a guarantee.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm in there.
So I'm like, I'm your commercial. Yes, but we can use your footage and da da da.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. So I thought
you
they
learned
were.
another lesson right
Yeah.
there.
Holy
So
shit.
you sign your life away and they have a free commercial and it was so good and it was like I had it professionally done. So it looked really nice. So they called me like a month after that commercial was airing and they're like, hey, you made it on Design Star Season 1. I'm like, made it? There's no physical examinations, like background checks.
Physical exams. That's
I
crazy.
don't know. They don't
Where's
have,
the fingerprinting, the
they
FBI?
don't-
Like,
they don't
what's
have-
up?
And they don't have NBC budget.
Yeah, it's HGTV.
Yeah, but I didn't
Especially
know.
then.
Cable.
But I didn't know. I was like, wait a minute, I got the show? They're like, yeah, you're moving to the Upper East Side. Pack your bags. Like,
shit.
and I'm like, okay. And I moved out and I lived in a townhouse on the Upper East for a little bit. I won the first challenge, was out at the fourth. And then from there, an agent reached out to me, got me a ton of gigs, was so much press behind all of that. That was like the beginning of reality TV. So that it was just perfect. It was like the perfect trajectory for my business to start. And then the economy hits and boom,
2008,
2008. So it was like the rise.
Designer's the first one
And
to
then-
go in
yeah,
terms of
and then-
budget.
So, but luckily for me, I was able to ride the wave because I think that was that critical moment that my business started to take a turn and people started to notice me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because of TV. And now we have outlets like TikTok and social
Yeah,
media.
social media,
And,
of
you
course.
know, like people, you can get out there a lot more now. You can get in people's face in a second.
Right.
It was harder back then.
For sure.
So for me, I feel like that leverage, using that television and that leverage helped me for my career to kind of start, right?
Yeah.
So then the press was simultaneously happening when the economy took a hit. So I was still kind of floating and I didn't really drop, but that was like the critical point. But if I was just starting a business and nothing of that would have occurred, I wouldn't know if I would ever, I mean, I'm Vanessa Deleon. I
make it happen no
I try
matter
to make
what.
anything happen. But
Excuse me. It was perfect
I tried,
timing.
but it was perfect timing.
Serendipitous. You said
Yeah,
it. I mean,
it was perfect timing. So then from there, my career after the fall, my career, I still started doing, I was doing little things and I started getting into commercial, which I really loved. the commercial business was so much fun because I didn't have to deal with a housewife or like have to deal with anyone having to hold their hand.
Yeah, more of a blank canvas.
Yeah,
probably,
I could do
right?
whatever I want. Go into a space, they love it, done. Next job, like that was a lot of fun. Then I started.
What kind of stuff did you start like
everything.
that? Like
Salons.
lobbies? Oh, okay.
Salons, commercial spaces, doctor's offices, surgery centers, like everything. But like next level stuff, not just like
Right.
Pick a fabric, pick a laminate. It's just like everything from soup to nuts, which is like a lot of fun. And then from there, TV started again. I got a show with first season Restaurant Impossible with Robert Irvine.
Yeah.
So I did my first season with him, which was a lot of fun. From there, I did a show called The Ice and Cocoa. We did a show together, and I was like their designer. And then I had my own show with on Pix 11 with Terry Crews.
Oh, wow.
Which was
Really?
amazing.
That's fun.
What was that called?
So it was called Terry Crews Saves Christmas.
I'm just looking at the height discrepancy right there. That's the visual I had. It's like,
Yeah,
what's going
I would
on?
always look up at him like this.
Literally looking up.
He's
Yeah.
a big dude.
Yeah.
He's big. Dude.
Just
Huge.
yeah.
He makes his titties dance. Like,
Yeah,
I know,
all the
like, for
time,
real.
all
They
the
do the
time,
bachata.
all the time.
See, no, stop. It's just.
Yeah, and then I would be like in this position, and he would. It's so funny because he wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say the first
wouldn't
person
eat.
I heard with intermittent fasting was
Dude,
really
I was
him.
literally gonna
And the
say,
guy
so-
is fucking
So we
gigantor.
would have our breaks, and they would take our lunch order, and they always had like a beautiful like snack bar for us and stuff. And I noticed like he was never eating, drinking water constantly and stuff. And I'm Terry, do you eat? Like, how do you feed those muscles? Like, how
Right.
do you, and then he's like, no, I have to wait. I have to wait till, and then he would wait till his break, and he would do 2 to 8 or whatever it was. It was like 16:8, I think he did, or whatever, whatever that math is. I'm like, intermittent fasting. What is? And that's the first time I heard of it. So I actually intermittent fast.
Yeah.
That's why you hear my
Still.
stomach. Yeah.
I can't.
Right now it's
We're
eating.
not-
That's
right
like
now
the Miami
it's eating
fast.
itself. But I started.
That's funny.
Wait into that today.
I actually started it because of him.
Yeah.
And he's done it.
We can't hear your stomach on it.
Oh,
I
good.
can't
He's
hear
like,
it.
"Urgh." Oh my god.
No, you're good. You're good.
So Terry Crews turned me on to intermittent fasting, and that's why I started it. Going back to the diet thing,
Right.
But it's amazing and it worked. But imagine a guy like him. He's like, I can eat ice cream at night and it doesn't affect me. It's crazy. So anyway, from there, the shows.
Is that why you did it? So you could eat ice cream at night?
So I love ice cream. I love
Oh my
sweets.
God, I love
so
ice
my
cream.
jam is sweets. So
Yeah.
I'll go to dinner and I'll look at the dessert menu and then
First.
base off of the dessert,
You
how many
make your
calories,
decisions
and then I'll
based
make
on
the
that. That's
decision.
good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
So
Smart.
that's how I eat because I love sugar, which is not great.
Right.
But then I'm like, oh, maybe if I fast for 2 days, it'll take all the sugar out of my body.
I had 2 chocolate covered pretzels last night before I went to bed at literally 12:05
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
night. I just
Felt
chocolate covered pretzels are like that and ice cream.
Chocolate covered strawberries are my jam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about them.
Yeah.
You're not a sweets
Like
guy.
I love it, you know what I mean? But I'm just like I'm more salty.
No, I can. I don't eat. I don't need to eat savory. Yeah. I don't need to eat bread on the table.
I don't eat bread. I don't do
carbs.
too many carbs like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I just like
I don't need to eat bread either.
I'm
My
so used to
wife
not to.
loves bread.
yeah.
Like
I don't need it. I don't need any of that.
I don't even
just-
want to get into
like,
it. We've
give me
had
a
some
cake.
bread
Plus, I think
conversations,
when you
bro.
eat bread, I'm like, what a waste. I'm gonna fill up on
You want the
bread.
other
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It's like
it's
waste.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've trained myself, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay, so where were we?
Terry Crews,
Terry
intermittent
Crews,
fasting,
intermittent
Fix
fasting.
11,
Titty bounce.
Yeah, titty bouncing.
Terry Titties, bro.
He's amazing, by the way.
He seems like the
He's
super
like
genuine.
one of my favorite people to work with. I've worked with many celebrities and stuff. He's like.
Do you keep in touch
salt
with him, or
of
are
the
you guys
earth.
like?
Yeah, we literally. He came to my son's christening.
Oh, that's
Like,
amazing.
He's like.
You know I'm
him
going to
and
hit
his
you up
wife,
to get him on the pod. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I had to
he's-
shamelessly throw that out
He's
there.
amazing.
No shirt.
He's like, yeah, he was like bouncing.
Super
Great.
deep V-neck.
Yeah.
We need
Yeah,
him
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
That's really cool, though. I mean, came here. You guys
Yeah.
connected,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
He seems like that dude.
So did that catapult you to another level too? Now you're on TV
Yeah,
a
so
lot,
then
now
I
you're
was
like,
American Dream Builder for NBC, and now I'm like a frequent contributor to Open House NBC.
oh cool. That's
And I do-
Sundays, right?
Yeah, George to the Rescue as well. So
George
I'm a
to the
contributor to that
That's
too.
cool. Yeah.
And then from there, I'm like, okay, what's next? If I want to coin myself like the next Latina Martha Stewart, how am I going to get there?
Right. Prison, obviously.
Right.
good.
Insider
Yeah,
trading.
that's pretty good.
Insider trading.
Some sort of tax fraud.
That's
Yeah.
it,
Gets you right there.
yeah,
Yo,
yeah,
did
yeah.
you ever see?
You become infamous, not famous.
No,
yeah.
That's it. Listen, they both work,
Yeah,
right?
what do they
She's
say?
still.
This is true.
Martha's
Bad
still.
news is good news. No matter
Right.
what.
Martha's
that's
still getting that bag daily, weekly,
That's
monthly. Martha's paid. But did you see the roast of Justin Bieber? And she
Oh,
made
she's
fun of her.
fucking
Yo,
nasty.
that
She's
was
so
No.
good.
it was hysterical.
good,
I'll
man.
send it to you.
Recent?
No, it was
No, it's a
probably
few years
5,
ago,
6
yeah.
years
The roasts
ago.
are all good, but that one
She's
was
like,
good,
I'll show
yeah.
you how to make a shiv in prison. You know, like in the Martha
wait,
Stewart
wait.
voice.
Was this with the Snoop Dogg?
Yes,
and-
yes. It's great.
Yeah, she's leaning into it, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it happened,
You have
right?
To, you have to. You have to.
Fucking
you have
accept
to,
it
like,
and
almost
move on.
Embrace it.
You have
and
to.
Make it a thing.
So you want to be the
Absolutely.
Latina Martin Stewart? Why not just like the
Vanessa Deleon. Yeah, I went. Well, it's gonna get there, right? Because you're gonna remove the
Correct.
Martha Stewart, right?
Or remove the Latina and just be
Right. Well, I also like to lean into like the Latin roots.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of Latinx that are like, okay, we're fierce, we're here, like, who are they,
Yeah.
right? And I love embracing my Cuban roots, so I'm always gonna kind of coin
some
that.
sort of put it
yeah.
together.
My guy did. He did his
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
mark,
you
you
know.
know.
Yeah.
Cubita,
cubita, que
Yeah,
bola.
I love that.
best
Que
Cuban
bo- que
empanadas
bola.
around.
So we were saying like que bola.
Big Gus, shout out.
Yeah.
Que bola.
Hi Gus, I'm sure you know each other.
You will.
Now you will. You better
Gus,
start sponsoring
hey,
this shit,
You
bro.
gotta send her like a whole package. We'll do
Yeah,
that.
we've been shouting out the crew
He's good,
lately,
yeah.
last couple of weeks. So
So it's so funny because que bola, que is what, bola is a ball. So it's like you're saying que bola, but you have to say it fast. So you have to say que bola, because then that's like, hey, what's
Yeah.
up?
So what's good?
Yeah. So it's so, but if you slow it down, it's what a ball.
What ball? Yeah,
Yeah,
like-
it's like it doesn't really.
It doesn't make any
Like
sense.
que bola. Yeah, it makes sense.
by the way, he has it in his store when you first walk in. It's
In
in
neon.
That's
in
amazing,
neon
yeah.
right on the side, right? Like
I
that's
gotta
his
go
thing.
there.
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah.
go there.
It's in Nutley, of course.
Yeah.
Martha Stewart's old house.
Yeah, a lot of great things
Wait,
happen
is,
in
like,
Nutley, bro.
sponsoring you guys?
I'm,
My wife's from Nutley too, which is
Okay.
fucking weird.
That
So.
is, that is, right?
Listen, for a 3 square mile town, Nutley gets around. That's all I have
That's
to say.
good.
You could go anywhere in this world and you'd be like, Nutley.
know somebody-
Oh, I know
yeah, I know-
Nutley.
yeah, yeah. Or
Shut
I
the
know
fuck
somebody
up.
from
Yeah,
Nutley.
like come on. I was in
Kevin Bacon
Florence.
live in Nutley.
Maybe.
He may have had an apartment in Nutley
Tom
above
Cruise
Pete's
was close,
Deli.
Glen Ridge.
You know, it's
Very
so funny
close.
because we were saying, everybody's separated by Kevin Bacon's 7 degrees,
Right.
right? That's like those. But I truly believe that we're all separated by 1 degree to Kevin Bacon. We know somebody that
At
knows
this
Kevin
point,
Bacon.
yeah, absolutely.
It's like,
I mean, you're famous now, so yes,
no,
you do.
Kevin Bacon. I feel like if you say like someone, oh yeah, my aunt's cousin went that.
Yeah.
Somebody
You
always
say
knows
his name
Kevin
3
Bacon.
times, he shows up.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
Sorry, guys.
You're good. You're
I
good.
don't have COVID.
I got close to Matt.
Oh,
That's about it.
no, we said we're not gonna say the big C. Those-
Okay, no C.
No C words today.
No bad words.
No.
All right, so then
So you want to be the next Latina Martha Stewart,
Yeah.
right? What does that look like?
that looks like
Blonde hair?
no. I'm gonna always
Latina
stay,
part,
I'm
right?
always
Come
gonna stay
on.
dark hair.
J Lo's getting blonder as she, you noticed
like
that
the
in the
dark
50s?
hair.
You
But
like the dark?
I like the dark, but I feel like when you get older, because you get so many grays,
Yeah, you have
that
the
light,
contrast.
yeah, you have to almost
Kind of
like
like
go
blends
lighter.
into it. Yeah.
Oh.
That's why older women. always
So
Is that what it is?
She's not there yet, but like in 20 years.
eventually, I'll probably go back. I
20
used to
years.
have low lights, highlights,
Yeah.
the whole thing, but then the
What are
black.
those?
So those,
I'm kidding.
Oh.
you know,
have
he
You know
knows
what they are. Get the fuck out of here.
He knows I'm-
You know, he
No,
does.
no,
These are natural. Get
No,
the fuck
these
outta
are
here.
natural, bro.
That's
These are
shit.
these are called guy lights.
It's
They're
cool.
au natural.
Guy
Own it,
They're
bro.
au
You're
natural.
good.
No, if I had them in, I would tell you right now. I've had 37 haircuts since the summer.
But you do
I-
have high and low of different colors.
Yes, on occasion, Danielle DeDolce is the best colorist around.
Oh, so you know.
So.
Low lights, highlights.
I'll get it.
So I'm getting there
Yeah.
as far as that's
So
concerned.
paint the picture. What does it look like? Is it
So-
like media? Is it also?
So I always like to say
You're in a
like,
G6. It's got red
oh
interior
my
with
God,
gold stitching.
no,
Like,
I
what are
wanna
we
do
talking about?
Like a Brabus, like a G6
Yes,
Brabus.
yes.
Like the wing be like in carbon fiber.
Oh, now
you
we're
know?
talking.
Yeah.
I'm in there.
I'll show
I'm,
you
I'm picturing it. Picturing it.
So
I'm
I
walking up the
see
stairs right now.
Carbon fiber.
Yeah, like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Matte black.
Of course.
Yep.
And
Love
like
it.
no changing RGB lights. It'll just be like one light, and it's a mood light, and it's like 3,500 Kelvin versus like
I
5,000.
know Kelvin, so I'm speaking my language.
Okay.
I do salons, so obviously I just.
Well, you need to be higher,
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You need to be 6,000,
Yeah.
7,000 Kelvin.
And which I don't like, but you could have the ambient light, so it's like
So now
background
we're
light.
like-
So
Yeah.
what does a jeweler need then? 10, 15,000?
So no,
It depends.
So
also
they
the distance and
actually,
where
yeah. So they actually like it a little bit not as white
Yeah.
because then it's like
Doesn't jump and
They
shine.
need a little warmth to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're new to me. We were on 47th Street last week with my buddy Stevie Z. What's up, Stevie Z? Guy made me spend more money than I have. But anyway,
On that?
no. This was
This whole thing?
this whole thing. No, but they have the spinning lights above all the sections now. It's crazy. I never saw those before.
So that's also
So you-
that the twinkle.
Oh,
Yeah.
bro,
Yeah, so-
everything's just jumping off the counter,
sure.
right?
I actually am doing a salon now in Palm Beach, and that salon we did a combination. But yeah, it can be super bright because the diamonds are not going to give that
Yeah.
glisten.
Right.
But for hair, especially when you're doing
You don't
color,
want shadows. You don't want
yeah,
the warmth.
because then
you don't
the
want-
warmth
But
could
you can
actually
use it
throw
as
the blonde
ambient
off.
lighting.
Got it.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
the ambient lighting, the sconces, all that stuff, it's cool. But like your directionals
Yeah.
have to be like perfect.
Phil, you're very well rounded. I like that.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, yeah.
I had to learn it too.
Kelvin's.
So nobody
Yeah.
was like, "Here's the book." It was like.
He's like,
trial
"Who's
and
Kelvin?"
error. Yeah.
He's like, who's Kelvin? So yeah, so I consider myself a multi hyphenate, right? That's kind of everything. That's like brand ambassador, lifestyle expert, interior designer, product developer, licensor.
But what's the little girl, little Vanessa? What was her biggest dream? That
So
have
the
you
biggest
accomplished
dream-
it or
No,
okay?
no.
Like
But
what did
but I
you
don't
want?
think I would ever accomplish
You're
it.
never finished.
So I don't.
But there was
know.
something you pictured when you were 10, hopping out the double wide, like rolling underneath, going over to ride some Rottweilers, like.
Yeah, like
Yeah, exactly. Like what did
Yeah,
what did you
like
see? Is
picture.
your name in lights? Like what's
yeah.
what's
I mean, listen. Well, I was on Times Square a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
I was
That's
on the NASDAQ. My picture was there. I'm like, so nice. And it wasn't for insider trading. That's great.
They didn't have the bars in front and like a fucking.
yeah, right?
The,
Do you
the-
look
the
good in
number.
stripes?
I do actually.
How about
They're
orange?
Vertical.
They're vertical.
Yeah,
right?
they got- yeah.
horizontal.
Yeah, I can't wear horizontal stripes.
yeah.
I already have a bad body image, so I can't.
Yeah, vertical's good. Orange.
No,
not my
makes you
favorite.
look a little
Black
drab.
and white,
A little drab and orange,
yeah.
me too.
Cactus.
It's a little too Halloweeny.
Some neutrals. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
So
toast.
what's next for you now? Like what do you?
I think still growing my brand. We've been in talks with some production companies on some really cool concepts and stuff. My line of home, I'm very much involved and love feng shui and spirituality. So I also credit my career and what I've become because I'm honest and loyal and rooted and grounded and humble. And there's not a day that I wake up and don't thank God. I pray every day. I don't go to church. I'm not super crazy religious, but I know that there's a God and that everything that I have today is because I'm a good person and I'm blessed. So this line developed off of meditation and Om,
Right,
home,
right.
and the little logo up here is actually the Om. right
Oh,
there.
cool. Very cool.
So
Vanessa brought us gifts, which is like, I think we're supposed to give our guests gifts,
I was
but
gonna say she did it right. She came in. I'm excited. I smelled this before. It looks phenomenal. And of course, I was like, I'm gonna put it in the salon. She was like, they're in salons already. So
Yeah.
this is awesome.
So Palo Santo sticks, cleansing a home is really important. So this is my personal line. This is not with anybody. And then
so everything, yours, soup to nuts.
yeah. So it's pillows, bedding, throw blankets, Palo Santo sticks, incense holders. with
What is
my-
Palo Santo?
So Palo Santo is a old and ancient tradition that you would piece of wood
Okay.
that smells amazing. You burn this, and
This is like
Supposed to be-
sage, before sage was sage.
yeah,
This is sage.
This is like the
Palo
OG.
Santo.
This is OG. Isn't that nice?
Wood Saint translation.
Yeah,
Right? Palo
yeah,
Santo.
yeah,
Saint of the wood, wood
yeah,
saint.
yeah,
Sounds so much better in Spanish.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you burn this.
That was
and-
your high school nickname?
Yeah, not
Sorry.
mine. Santos. I know. I see what you did there.
Santos,
Sorry,
yeah.
man.
Santos.
Right. So you burn
Carpenter.
This.
We could go a little deeper if we
We could
wanted,
go
but
on.
I'm
I used to have
sorry.
long hair.
Yeah,
so,
loving the wood. I got it, bro.
Crucified.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, I digress.
We go, yeah, we
It's
go.
it's bad.
It's good.
Yeah.
I like this.
I didn't smell this.
So
This is-
you basically turn this on. It's actually even good for, like, believe it or not, inflammation.
You light it and put it like on a dish usually. or
So
something,
you want to put it on a metal dish
Yeah.
or marble, and then you start from the back of the house. You leave the windows slightly open, and you cleanse
A
the
little
entire
bit.
house.
And a little bit of the breeze kind of like
Yes.
brings it through.
A higher
Yeah.
state of living.
Yeah, so that's the.
That's really nice. So where can we find this?
Direct to consumers
Okay.
on home by VanessaDeleon.com, and then most of
Cutting out
salons-
all the middlemen.
Yeah.
You made it. It's yours. You're doing it. You sell it. You get it all.
Yep.
Nobody can buy publishing at this point, right? If you're,
Let me ask you something, just because you're doing that too, right? And it's very inspiring and impressive, and especially to not just other women, men too, right? This is a lot of the people on our show are entrepreneurs or into business. What do you think drove you? I know you talked a little bit about your grandparents and your parents like doing that. Do you think that's like a big part of your life? And listen, I know a lot of Cubans are very entrepreneurial
Yeah.
too. You know, do you think? Because it doesn't seem like you're just doing something. It seems like, and my culture a little bit like that too. It's like take control of everything,
Yeah.
right? Like go vertical. Like make sure you're the manufacturer, you're the supplier,
Yep.
you're the wholesaler.
Yeah. Like the whole, like, you don't have a partner.
We were saying that earlier. Yeah, yeah. No partners.
The bank's your partner.
Bank's
yeah.
your partner.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Listen, I think adversity is what made me who I am today, right? To see adversity always is going to make that entrepreneur spirit. I think if you're given things, I think today's Cuba is different than my grandparents' Cuba.
Yeah.
Right now, everything is it's given. Like
Correct.
you get on a line, you get the bread, you get the meat or whatever. There's no meat, but you get what you get, and everybody's complacent.
Yeah.
So you live in this utopia world where everything is equal, but at the end of the day, when my grandparents had their homes there, and it was the Hollywood of the Caribbean, and they had all this stuff and all this fortune and all these things, and then you're stripped away of that, you're gonna come back full force, and you're gonna want to become who you were. And I think that's what separates the new Cubans to the old Cubans, right? Or the old Cubans to the new Cubans.
Do you think it's just Cubans? I know you're using that as an example.
No, I'm only using that as an example. I think today, if you
Just
end
society
up
in
giving
general.
your kid whatever it is, or like if that's the norm, that's the norm, right? But if you have a little bit of that struggle, you're gonna want to achieve, and I think that's what separates, the people that are willing to kind of do it
Yeah.
and have the drive to do it.
So are you afraid to fail?
Yes,
You're afraid
Every
to fail?
every day.
What happens if you fail?
I don't know. I have
Do you
that.
give up?
No, I never give up.
Well, that's what I mean.
come on, you failed.
So the thing
In your
is-
mind, you failed
And-
when you didn't get The Apprentice, right? Like,
Well,
it's
so
no, you go ahead.
so this is I talk to myself about
Yeah.
this every day. Like
So do I. That's why I'm asking.
it's so fucked up because I'm always like, and I'm all about manifestation, right? And they say that I'm also a big Tony Robbins fan and stuff. Yeah,
I was just there.
yeah. He's
look at his eyes, just like.
Amazing.
Make a
I've been
move.
to all of that.
Yes.
I've walked on the rocks.
Yeah, me too.
I climbed
I was just
a
planning for
30-foot
you.
pole,
Yeah.
like crazy stuff. But
Told you should have.
whatever you manifest,
I'll get there.
It's amazing, amazing.
There's
It,
no doubt in my mind that I'm-
transforms
I think every
you.
guest-
Transforms
I told you
you.
already.
Legit transforms you.
This I'm like set up every
So-
week. It's like Tony Rock,
I
oh,
thought-
we just
she
got
said it
back.
on me.
No, but it just seems so funny.
You're
Like,
like, damn.
yes, I'm T. I'll be there, bro.
But
Yeah,
the
I can
manifestation, right? You were saying.
So,
and-
so I feel like whatever you manifest or whatever you think about becomes, right?
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I'm always like, I can't fail. I can't fail. And I'm like, fuck, I'm like talking about the fail. I can't talk
gotta be
about the
careful.
fail
Yeah.
because you could be, and you could get there,
You're
right?
gonna track that.
You're gonna track what you put out.
Like your parents when they're always scared and like, don't do this, don't
Yeah.
do partners, everything. You start saying it, eventually it becomes true also.
Right. And I have to reframe it.
But what if, because you were saying like your parents had stuff in Cuba and then during the revolution they took it, right? So technically, failing is just a different word, right? But like they had to start over.
Yeah.
Right? So like, I look at starting over sometimes as a gift, right? It's like a cleansing. It's
Yeah.
like this, obviously for some people, they just can't. They don't have it in them, right? I've started over so many times. that I'm
Me
just
too.
Not afraid.
Yeah.
Now, people will call it different things. They could call it failure. They could be like, oh, you're lucky, all this shit. But like, do calculated risks, right? But
Right.
it's more like, I almost look forward to it sometimes too, so I could figure it out quicker.
Right, but your
mean,
fail is a lot smaller than,
Yeah.
Well,
you know what I mean? You're
it
talking on a
depends.
small scale, right? Like,
No, because if it's in somebody else's shoes who's never done it,
Right.
my
It's
failure
huge.
will
right.
Yeah.
They
It's
could-
catastrophic.
they'll
It ends
commit
their
suicide
life.
over
Yeah,
it. You know
of
what I mean? Where
course.
I'm like, hey, fuck it, I'll
Yeah,
go.
let's move
You know,
on.
I lost
right?
this business.
I mean,
Right,
I
we
think-
lost a deal.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
literally think we were all there to the pandemic, right?
Of course,
We're like,
yeah.
holy shit, what are we gonna do?
Fight or
Like, the
flight.
salons are closed, the restaurants are closed. What are you gonna do? And the P word was like pivot.
Yeah.
Like I hate
Oh, we
that
say
word.
that all the time.
But I
After a while, I'm like, all right, I'm done.
the
pivoting.
only pivot I want to talk about is from Friends when they're bringing up the couch. You
Yeah.
know that scene, and he's like, pivot,
Yeah.
pivot. You know that scene, right?
That's
the only
funny.
pivot I want to talk about. But I think we were all there, right? We had to shift and like, what are we gonna do to make it work?
Right.
And I think that collectively as a society, whoever was an entrepreneur was like, we're gonna figure this shit out,
Yeah.
right? So
and I would say they got stronger and better from it.
They
I mean,
did.
to your
So,
point,
yeah.
right?
So we're entrepreneurs, not just in the name and in business.
No.
But entrepreneurs.
The
really is like,
true-
you
Yeah.
figure it the fuck out.
Yes, the
You
true
make the best of what you
entrepreneurs.
could. It excelled.
It
Everybody.
almost made a lot of people,
yeah, it did.
right? I
It
mean,
did.
Well, there was two. They were like,
It
it
was
made
two,
a lot,
yeah.
and then there was a lot of people who just got a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
right.
Free money, as we
and
call
bought
it.
Right.
Lamborghinis.
And bought Lamborghinis.
Well, you were talking about it before. That's why Miami, everybody's fasting now.
Yeah,
Miami,
'cause they can't afford the
everybody's
bills
out of
anymore.
PPP
Everyone's
money.
like, fasted
Yeah, yeah,
all morning.
yeah. Oh my god, it's so
The
funny.
EIDL's coming
Can't do
due.
puppy
You gotta
steak no more.
you gotta pay the government
That's
back now,
so
bro.
funny.
So you can't
Those loans
fucking
are
eat
called
during the
up to 2
day.
years, yeah.
That's so funny, man.
But see, that's why I asked that question, because I think it's intrinsic in everybody that we come across that does the same thing. It's like, once you remove that fear of failing or not making it happen, or you know what I mean, like, you'll take the jump, you'll do those more calculated risks, and you're not like,
It's true.
you'll like, and then because it's
'Cause it's
two
easier
things.
for us.
You're gonna take an L, but it's either a loss or a lesson. It's like trauma. You
It's a
decide
lesson.
what you want it to be.
That's
you
it.
decided what you wanted it to be in high school. You were like, this is fucking, I'm utilizing this as a tool. Now
Right.
I could socialize with everybody,
Yeah.
make friends. So, because if it's up to us, we're never going to pick the losses. We're never going to pick the, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of need it to be, I say it all the time when they're like asking about real estate or how is it? I'm like, oh, it's fucking tough. You don't want to do it. Because I need it to, like, it's
Yeah.
not for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it needs
Listen,
to be
the restaurant
challenging.
business, like we're in it too. Like Bobby and I, we have the brownstone, right? That was a time that I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna close us down. The government's gonna
Right.
close us down, and like that's like people need to eat, right? And then it's like, wait, no, people need to eat. How are we gonna make them? And
How are we
then
gonna
we're
feed
like,
them?
How are we gonna make this happen? How are we
Right.
gonna feed them?
Pivot.
We're gonna use the P word, right?
We're going to
So-
adjust.
so-
No P word, no
so-
C word. Like, let's keep it G.
But that was like a perfect timing for like
was
us
a
to
test.
reinvent,
Yeah.
right? So I was still at the time I was like, oh my god, my design business is over, you know. And this is what I had like hundreds of clients at the time. I
Right.
was doing so much. That was the time that my business went,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my god,
That's
I'm
crazy, right?
designing all day long, but I can't physically provide them with anything because shipping.
Yeah.
Things
Delays.
weren't
Logistics were just all fucked up. yeah.
Logistics was a mess, and they weren't shipping from ports and stuff. So
Right.
that was the other thing. So I wasn't tangibly getting anything, but I sold my design,
And you found another way.
and I found a way.
Absolutely.
And
And,
then
you probably went even more online,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where the physical aspect got removed. You're like, cool, let me reinvent myself in a different, aspect.
And we did, and we had the opportunity to do things that were like, you know, Zoom designs and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. But my clients were like, hey, listen, that kitchen that I wanted to do like 2 years ago, let's just do it. And
Oh, everybody.
everybody
was
got on that,
building
and I was like, I couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
And then with the restaurant, I was like, all right, no one can dine inside. Let's take this shit outside. And I was like, I love roller skating.
That's amazing.
Let's do like, you know, dine
Old
like
school.
old school 50s.
Right.
I put my skates on. I called my friends who were DJs. I actually designed their studio. I'm like, let's do a whole parking lot thing.
Yeah.
And then Bobby and I literally were like catering food. We had the little trays on the
Yeah,
window,
that's
and
fucking
I was
cool.
hand delivering
That's great.
food in my roller skates in the middle of pandemic.
How many did you guys have before COVID?
So we had 2 at that time.
Okay.
We only had the Englewood and the Edgewater location, but we had the parking lot in pretty big parking lot. And what we do is 1 car, 2 spots, 1 car, 2 spots. So we're
Got it.
separated.
Yeah.
And they were able to eat outside their car and like the music, and it was a lot of fun, and it was
created
cool.
a vibe.
We created a vibe.
But that's like, I love hearing stories like that because it's like cool. In you know, in tough times, right? It like created very strong people.
Yep.
Right? It like got you to think, because otherwise you wouldn't have came up with that idea.
No.
Maybe down, but like
No.
I'm most creative when my back's against the wall. When
Yeah,
shit happens,
same.
I get creative out of necessity, and then I'm like, oh, I fucking like this. I used to say I hate having my back against the wall. Now listen, I'm again, I'm calculated to how my back is against the wall, but I know when it's not there,
Right.
I'm just like,
Coasting.
Yeah.
I need a little pressure.
Cruise
I need
control.
those- Yeah. and
Your
that's
back's
not-
your back's at the 45 of the angle. And there's
Correct.
still like some room.
Yeah,
Right?
it's not, like I could breathe a little bit. I'm not
Yeah,
all the way
yeah.
there, but like I know it's a little tight. Being tight sometimes, I know for me, like again, gets me very creative, and that's when the best comes out. When I can find problems
Right.
that I have to solve. I'm
Yeah.
as valuable as as you know as the problem is.
Yeah.
You know,
And you're only as good as your resources.
correct.
Right. So those are our resources. We were able to get on Amazon, those trays, and
Yeah.
I had roller skates, and I had my friends that weren't DJing. All their parties
Yeah.
were canceled. So
Right.
it was a great opportunity. But
How many restaurants you guys have now?
we have 4, almost 5, and I'm like, hold on.
You
know,
slowed
'cause
it down?
The tough, as you know, the tough thing is like help,
That's where I was at too.
and it's like it's unbelievable.
That's why I was 12 minutes late today. I apologize, but I was on the phone with my partner. Like, you know, when you grow quick, you got to really
Yeah.
reevaluate because you think
Yeah.
you hire so well
Yeah.
and you train, and then you're like,
But that's see,
And I feel like this is why AI is going to take over, even in
yeah.
that department. Yeah.
Listen. I went to a seminar, TR in Idaho for finance, and you had Jamie from JP Morgan. You had all the bigwigs there, and that was a big thing. A lot of people think like it's not to scare. Like AI will never replace a hairstylist or a tattoo artist, and I'm like, nah. I've seen some stuff. It's not there yet,
Yeah.
but it's the same thing.
I've
with
seen
kitchen
some
and
stuff.
everything, like, and
yeah,
again,
there's
like, if you're
robot
There's
cooks,
as a
dude.
There's
person-
robots that are actually doing murals on the
No,
walls.
of course, yeah. And what's the difference with tattooing, for example? Like
Yeah.
they're gonna stencil you. Maybe they won't be as creative with it, but like, you know, I use a lot of AI in terms of Chat GPT and
Sure.
videos and everything too. And it's like, it's happening so quick that it's right there. But what you were
It's
saying-
already here. It's who's
Yeah, yeah.
choosing to use it now,
No,
right?
correct. But it means like how it's getting more and more advanced and like
Yes.
better. Like it's here, but it's not.
And
like,
it's affordable
ready.
too at a
And
certain
in-
level,
and
right?
In Japan, they already have servers that are robots.
Yeah, correct.
It
They've
goes
been-
right to the table.
Yeah, they have the little robot. I've seen
Yeah.
at several restaurants here too. But what was cool too was like you said, like and Jamie did too. Cool, you grew this fast, like because we went from 3 salons to 9
Right.
during COVID, right? And it's like, cool, we have our systems, we have everything, right? And we bought some salons and turned them over, but then it became like, oh fuck, we're growing too quick. Like we need. I was just in Maywood. We have
We
one
need
there. That's a new
people.
one. I need people. So now I'm like, I got to recruit and I got to do this,
Right.
and you have. But again, it's making me learn skills that I never had before. It's making me get creative. Do I suggest that for anybody? No, but that's the route I had to take. I'm
Right.
sure you guys too, to kind of figure out what we did is like, cool, we're slowing down. We're not growing right now. We're gonna. So we grow, put our systems together again.
Yeah.
Grow, like you're in a different class as you go from 1 or
Right.
2 to
Yeah.
like 5
For sure.
into the 10. But that's part of the journey too.
Yeah.
Figuring it out. You know?
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be easy.
I mean, hopefully we can, like my dream would be, you know, we accumulate as many stores as we can and private,
Exit.
you know, exit or, you know, be a part of it. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
we're trying to do like the whole McDonald's.
Yeah,
like,
of course. That's what
What
everybody.
was his name?
That's the goal.
What's his name from McDonald's? Croc?
Ray Kroc.
Ray
Kroc,
Kroc.
yeah.
Yeah.
He owned all the properties.
Right.
Like we own all our properties. And so like that positioning is really good, but I feel like you need a few more to
A lot
sort of
more.
make sense. Yeah.
But so the magic number that I've always heard is 10.
Yeah.
At the minimum, anybody for private equity, they want 10, and they all have to be minimum $1 million. So it's a 10 million. Because if not, there's just nothing.
Right.
That's the minimum, right? So then that's why we got to 9, like right at the 10.
Right.
But it's the same thing. Once we know that, and it's the same plan. It's
Form-
similar.
It's like the same formula.
Yeah, with us, I would love. We do a lot of. We give equity, or they buy into it. A lot of our employees. We would love eventually to give it to somebody. You know what I mean? In the sense of like they take it over some shit. But either way, we have a plan. We can't be the most popular salons forever. We know we have a short period of time, just like restaurants and everything else. And you want to kind of like give it to the next person who's going to take it
Right.
to like it's like your parents and your grandparents did the furniture, then your parents did,
Right.
and now you're doing it. Like,
And it's you
kinda
10
wanna,
years ago
like,
when you were
yeah.
building your first salon and
Correct.
you put every nail in every
Yeah,
board, right?
correct.
Like, it's just different. It's just different.
And you feel good. You get fulfillment from like, hey, they took it to the next level. Like
Yeah.
that's the best. Like cool money and everything, but like that's the best part when you still see it and you drive by and you're like, that's right, they're doing
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
Totally.
interesting though to
Legacy.
like, get
Yeah,
to that
legacy.
number, and it's cool to hear other people. It's not like, hey, we have the same challenges, but we identify with the same thing, even though we're in a different
Yeah.
a different
Oh
industry.
yeah, for sure.
The same problem.
People.
It's the same problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People. It's personnel or equipment, right? Like, those are my challenges on a day-to-day, you know? Who's calling out or what broke down?
Look, it also
So true.
it also
It's
makes
crazy.
me
So true.
look at things differently. Like, how do I get people to come and how do I get them to stay? So if you try to do the traditional way, they just don't work anymore. You know what I mean? Like a job. Like I was listening today, and I'll wrap up with this. I was listening today. Like people don't leave their jobs because of money. People leave, like you think it. People leave their jobs because of leadership, right? So like if you're not getting something, whether it's a perk or whether it's this or this, but it's leadership. Nobody's like, are there people? Yeah, but the majority of people don't leave because it's a shitty job, because they already knew and they signed up for it. It's leadership. If they don't have a vision, if they don't have somebody driving it to them, right? And then obviously adding those other things. So for me, it gave me insight to like, cool, how could I always make some adjustments? How do I become better than everybody else, as opposed to like, well, they do it like this, I should do it like this too. Because if you look at a couple businesses up there, like they do it totally different and they're very successful and they're growing, right? I don't have the answer, but like what's missing where I could like, give more.
Who do you look up to? Like, who's your, like, salon,
Salon?
or entrepreneur that you're
I
like,
look, I
you
look
know
at
what?
IGK salons, right? There's only a couple of them, but they're more of they started as a product. There's a bunch of hairstylists, Miami, New York, and now they're opening up at the Fontainebleau in Las Vegas. They're really cool. It's different because they started with product backed by a big company that made it. And
So they weren't even brick and mortar.
no, they got them together. They got like the dream team together. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
wow.
They did it. But I look at them in the sense of culture and in the sense of like how they do it. That's the thing too, though. Like it's tough. So, but I don't have to look at that industry to say this is how I want it to do. I look at restaurants. I look at restaurants a lot. Major
You
Food
do.
Group. I look at.
I mean, that's it. That's what I was going to
look
say.
at Grutman and Miami and how they
Yeah.
grow. Everywhere we go, like we were in Carbone in Dallas, and it's like the same fucking thing. And there's no shortness of fucking employees. It's like there's something. It's like cool you work for Carbone, but there's something about it too that's like, you know what I mean?
The secret sauce.
It's and the same thing with Grutman.
No pun intended.
Those guys
We went
got
to
it.
Komodo in Dallas was better.
But you
than
know what's
Miami.
easy for those guys, and what they have so much funding behind them.
Right, of course.
There's people throwing money at them, so it's easy for them to be like, "Oh, we'll open there."
But they had to.
Oh, we'll
but
do
they
that.
had to get there too.
Oh, we'll do
No
TVs.
doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
They had to-
I
Nobody
will
even
not, and I will
knows.
not take
No,
that away from
I know
them.
you're not,
And I
but-
will
Nobody
not.
even knows Carbone. What, they just celebrated their 17th
Listen, he took-
year.
he
Like,
took
no,
COVID.
Carbone just started coming about
COVID.
4 years ago, and
Yeah.
people's like, oh, can you get me in the Carbone? You know what I mean?
COVID blew him up.
Bro, they've been around fucking forever.
The same thing with Grutman. Like he had Live and he had one or two restaurants, and then COVID happened. That's when he blew up too. It's the same thing. And then you have partnerships and you have other people.
Right.
And I believe it happens to me. I know it happens to both of you guys probably too. It's like energy. If you're putting out good energy, people feel that and they want to be associated with you. The money's out there. That's fucking easy.
I'm all about the energy.
You know what I mean? Like
Kind of home.
that's how
Yeah, it's all about it.
that's how I like deal with people. Like I can feel it from the door. I understand. I want to work with you.
I actually weed out clients that if they don't have good energy,
Oh.
I'll make an excuse. I'll say like we're not taking projects
Yeah.
on, or I put a crazy price tag on it,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they're like, no. And if they say yes,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, maybe worth it. You know what I mean? So, but
That's
it's
funny.
all about energy. With
That's
me. I'm
funny.
in a position of strength right now, so I can kind of pick and choose the clients.
I like that. I'm in a position. of strength.
You are. You're in a
Yeah.
position where
Yeah.
you're coming from abundance, right?
Before I used to just get abused.
Yeah.
Right. I had clients that would just.
You have to figure out who you were
Yes.
too, right?
Yeah.
You had to be.
And I did everything because I wanted to be that chameleon to all the clients, so I can see where I even like to position myself.
Yeah.
You know.
The first time I met you, Jason brought me there, right? And I was like, she's just down to earth, like one of the guys almost.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I was like, for
They
somebody
always
at
say
this
that,
level
they
in
always say
design,
that.
I was like, you know what? She's just fucking cool. That's somebody who I want to work with. You get it.
Yeah.
You know, you're not an asshole. You're not like, I'm better than anybody
Yeah,
else. You're just,
pretentious.
I do a great fucking job and I'm going to be there for you. You guys
Yeah.
need me, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Is it gratitude that centers you, that grounds you?
Yeah.
Because I heard you before saying it, right?
Yeah.
You were like, I get up, I'm appreciative,
Yeah.
practice humility, right?
Yeah.
You're grateful for where you're at.
Every day.
You can-
Every day. I did
Yeah.
the
You
same
can
thing
sense
this
it.
morning.
Yeah.
You know,
Every single
stacking
day.
the gratefulness, right?
That's it. That's that gratitude, man.
See,
Yeah.
I'm still listening, man.
It's,
I know.
it's better
I
than
haven't been to
stacking-
Tony,
it's
but
better
I'm
than
going.
Stacking chips.
Yeah, oh my God. Of course.
Because the chips will come.
No, the money's there.
Yeah.
The money's already been printed.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just got to figure out how to get it.
Yeah,
I heard
yeah.
that too. I'm like, that's great.
That's
Like,
funny
Yeah,
you say
I
that.
love that.
You just got to figure out how to get it. But
Yeah.
gratitude.
And a lot of printing. And a lot of
Yes.
printing.
Oh my God.
All we do is
Too much
print.
printing.
We said we weren't getting
Yeah.
political.
Okay.
No C words, no P
No.
words, and
Too much printing.
a lot of
So
printing.
It's like, what do you do with that at that point? But it's true.
Correct. Gratitude. I tell everybody, gratitude isn't going to resolve your problems or your challenges, but it's going to put you in a clearer space where you can find the right answer to it. So every day, and when shit happens, it's like I'll stop. I'm like, what am I grateful for? Or like in my car, whatever, before I go into a situation, a salon, into a deal, and I just get better results every time. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, hey, gratitude, look, I got the fucking deal, or I did this, or I resolved it. It's just like people sense it as soon as I come
Well,
in.
that's
They're
like the whole
oh,
manifestation.
Yeah, correct.
You can't be like, oh, I want a private jet.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you going to do to get it?
Correct.
You know?
Absolutely.
So you
Yeah.
have
There's
to, like,
manifestation and then a lot of massive action
Yeah.
right afterwards.
Yeah.
And you walk in that building, you already feel
course.
better because you know the outcome.
Right, yeah,
You know in your mind.
exactly.
You're like good, bad, or indifferent. We're winning.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So.
Cool. So, listen, thank you so much for coming
Thanks for
again. We
having
really
me.
appreciate it. We're gonna put Vanessa stuff on our podcast in the notes and everything. And Vanessa, where can they find you at?
IG is VDA_designs, and then VanessaDeleon.com, and then my products are in Home by Vanessa Deleon.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Cool. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you.
That was awesome. We really appreciate you coming on.
Oh my
Seriously,
God,
thank you
so
so
much
much.
fun, you guys.
Yeah, we had a great time.
So much fun.
We had a great time.
Thanks, guys. Till next time.
See you soon.